What's going on, ladies, gents, and kids of all ages? It is Eric coming back at you once again from the Nerd Cave, and today we have another great deck tech coming at you. This is a deck that is totally outside of the meta, totally outside of anything that I think anybody would expect me to be talking about at this point. We're at the end of a season. We got a new set coming out very soon, and it's time to mess around with cards that haven't had the time to shine, or ideas that could have been and maybe never were, ideas that never got iterated on enough to become something more. But I love this deck a lot. This deck is a lot of fun. The deck is very potentially shenanigansy, so if you're the type of person who doesn't just play big tournaments, isn't only playing in those set championships, but is going to a local league and playing there, this is a fantastic deck for a local league. There's going to bring some plays that players are not going to see coming, and it's going to do some very funny things. But before we jump into that, as always, a big shout out to the Patreons for making the giveaways on the channel possible. As you know, we just had a booster box giveaway, and we'll have another one coming at you very soon, so stick around. As always, now is a great time to be subscribed to the channel. If you want to support the channel and more deck lists coming to you in the future, definitely check out our Patreon. The link is in the description. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and talk about this 23 Mickey deck. So the first card, and you may have seen this come in the 1-drop slot, is going to be Mickey Mouse Food Fight Defender, a 1-cost inkable 1/2 stat line questing for 1. If you've been around the channel for a while, you know I absolutely love this card. I think it is a fantastic opener for steel. It's got a solid shift line. Nemesis +1 makes it super good into a steel heavy meta, which we are very much still in. The next card, still in the 1-cost slot, we have 4 Popsicles, a 1-cost inkable item. I know a lot of people have been predicting that this card might be coming around for a reprint in set 9. Personally, I don't see it. I think we're going to see another 15 to 20 reprints in set 10. That set is going to be primarily comprised of new cards. We could see less reprints than that. It could be like the previous sets where we saw like 1 or 2. So maybe it'll be something like that. But I think Popsicle may be likely to get reprinted in set 10 alongside some Zootopia cards. And I think there's a real possibility we see an enchanted version of Popsicle, because we know Tamatoa loves his items so shiny. So let's see what happens, but that's my prediction here and now. But Popsicle, you know, you'll have a 1-cost inkable. When you play it, you draw a card and banish it to remove 2 damage from a character. It's super good. 2 solid abilities, replaces itself immediately, is a 1-cost item. Like, it's very solid. Next up, we're jumping into some 1-cost locations with the Bayou, a card that on its own isn't very good. Can be good with location-based characters, because obviously you can get more locations out if they cost 1, but it is a 1-cost inkable location, 1 to move there, 3 willpower. When you quest with a character while they're here, you're going to be able to draw a card and discard a card, so it's a great way to cycle through your deck. And if it survives around a turn, it is going to gain you 1 lore at the beginning of your turn. Still in the 1-cost slot, the last card in the 1-cost slot, we're on 4 Merlin's Cottage, a card people may not be as familiar with. It is a 1-cost inkable 1 to move in, 7 willpower. Each player is going to play with the top card of their deck face up, so you're not necessarily going to be looking to move characters here because it doesn't really benefit you, but being able to see the top card of your deck is incredibly important, and being able to see the top card of your opponent's deck certainly doesn't hurt either. Next up, a fantastic card for this deck, and a card that is going to be one of the reasons we're playing the next card we're going to talk about, but we'll get there in a second, is going to be Mickey Mouse Inspirational Warrior, a 2-cost uninkable 1/1 stat line questing for 1. You pretty much never want to quest with him because he will die to like everything if he gets exerted, and during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may play a character for free. So that's what we're going to be looking to do with him, is banish another character in a challenge and get another character down for free. And like I mentioned, that card and some of the other cards on the deck are a big reason we chose to play this card. Ink ramp can be important with potential strategies, potential matchups in this deck list, but moreover, being able to ink uninkables is even more important. So we are on 4 Tipo Growing Sun, a 2-cost inkable 1/2 stat line. When you play this character, you may put a card from your hand into your inkwell face down and exerted. So it's going to be exerted, you're not going to be able to use it right away, but because of the wording on this card, you are going to be able to ink uninkables with it. So if those Mickey Mouses aren't going to be good, or if any of the other uninkables are going to be good in a certain matchup or at a certain time, Depot is going to give you a way to use them for something else. A card that remains a steel staple, and something I felt the deck needed because we were lacking some card draw, is Doc Bold Knight, a 2-cost uninkable 1/3 stat line questing for 1. When he comes into play, you get to discard your hand and draw 2 new cards, which is fantastic. Next up, we have another Mickey in Mickey Mouse Standard Bearer, a 2-cost inkable 1/3 stat line questing for 1. Chosen character gets Challenger +2, so it's kind of a weaker version of a crab, but it costs 1 less. Got a decent stat line, honestly, for a 2-cost with a 1/3 stat line, but being able to potentially give Challenger +2 to that Inspirational Warrior is going to make him able to challenge for 3 unexpectedly, possibly to your opponent, because they're not going to expect you to have access to something like Crab, and they may not expect you to be playing this over something like Jafar that costs 3, so they may not think you're ready to do Mickey Mouse shenanigans, but you are with Mickey Mouse Standard Bearer. Last card in the 2-cost slot, we're on 4 Rescue Rangers Submarine, a 2-cost inkable location, 1 to move in, 8 willpower. 8 willpower on a 2-cost is crazy because it's going to make it very likely to be able to stay on the board, or your opponent's really going to have to lose some turns to getting rid of it. And at the start of your turn, if you have a character here, which is entirely doable, it only costs 1 to move in, you may put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. Obviously that's a little risky. You don't know what you're going to top deck. You're not even going to get to see it. So you're just going to be throwing stuff under the bottom and not know what you're inking. So a little bit risky. That's where Merlin's Cottage comes into play to let you see the top card of your deck. So you'll be able to see the top card of your deck and decide each turn with Rescue Rangers, is that a card I want in my hand, or is that a card that I want to ink, and then be able to go ahead and ink an additional time each turn. Assuming your opponent isn't banishing the character that's there or taking out the location. It's a little bit situational, but both locations are inkable. Next up, we have 4 Mickey Mouse Detective, a 3-cost uninkable 1/3 stat line questing for 1. When you play him, again, you get to put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. With these ones, you're more often going to be taking the risk, but if you have that Merlin's Cottage down, you are going to know what it's going to be and decide whether or not it is a good time to play your Mickey Mouse Detective. But it's just going to be another option to ink ramp. So essentially on turn 3 you can ink ramp, and then going into turn 4 you can start dropping those 5 drops, which we'll talk about once we get to that slot. Next up, we have 3 Belle Apprentice Inventor, a 3-cost inkable 3/3 stat line questing for 1 with a great ability, particularly if you do get those popsicles on turn 1 with her in your hand. During your turn, you may banish an item of yours to play her for free. So she is going to be potentially a way for you to have a 3/3 down on the first turn of the game. Outside of that, you're generally going to be looking at inker, but with popsicle, she can be good once in a while. We do have a 1-of. I thought this card was kind of interesting. In testing with it, it was pretty hit and miss. As a 1-of, I do like it. I think that it has its opportunity to shine in some instances, and when it's not good, you just go ahead and ink it. Mickey Mouse Stalwart Explorer, a 3-cost inkable 3/3 stat line questing for 1, but this character gets +1 strength for each location you have in play, which is something, getting multiple locations in play with this deck is something we want to do. So if you have a couple locations down, he may potentially be a 5/3. If you have more than that down, you know, you can push him even further than that. Particularly with one of the other cards we're using in this deck, it can make Mickey Mouse a bit of a powerhouse in the late game. Next up, the only direct removal we're playing in the deck in 4 Let the Storm Rage On, a 3-cost uninkable action song that's going to deal 2 damage to chosen character and let you draw a card. So we did choose this over Strength of a Raging Fire. Strength of a Raging Fire can be good, but we're not necessarily focused on the character swarm, which is really when Strength of a Raging Fire is at its best. And also, like I mentioned, we really do need the card draw in this particular deck, so Let the Storm Rage On ended up being the better option. Next up, we have 2 Trey and Young Prince, a 4-cost inkable 3/4 stat line questing for 1. With during your turn, this character gains evasive. Obviously that in and of itself is a great ability in the current meta. Lots of evasive stuff out there, and whenever one of your locations is banished, you may put that card into your inkwell face down and exerted. So if you have some locations down, he is potentially going to let you get some additional ink ramp. If your opponent is about to banish your locations, it's a great time to throw him down. You think you're going to take challenges into those locations, get that Triton down, and all of a sudden you're getting some additional ink your opponent isn't expecting you to get. Next up, also in the 4-cost slot, a card we've seen a ton of people move to over Grandma Tala recently, especially with the upcoming rotation and Grandma Tala potentially rotating out. It's really going to be a time for Kita Creative Thinker to shine. I think this card is really interesting. It's a 4-cost inkable 3/3 stat line questing for 1. It does have Ward. Ward, obviously, we know is a fantastic keyword because it's going to guarantee you get an opportunity to either activate the character's ability or to go ahead and quest. And the ability on this particular character is one you definitely want to be able to activate if you can. You're going to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one into your inkwell face down and exerted, and the other on the top of your deck. So you're going to put one of them back, and you're going to put one into your inkwell. Again, with being able to look at the top card of your deck, it can definitely make a difference in deciding when Kita's ability will be at its best. A fantastic follow-up to the turn you play Kita, we do have 3 Bagheera Guardian Jaguar, a 5-cost inkable 4/3 stat line questing for 2 with Bodyguard. So when you exert down that Kita and open her up to be challenged into, having a Bodyguard in the way is fantastic. And during an opponent's turn, whenever this character is banished, deal 2 damage to each opposing character. So if they do want to get it out of the way, every guy on their board is going to take 2 damage. So if you're playing into anything that's kind of swarm focused or has multiple characters out, Bagheera starts to become really good. And if you're not, much like a lot of the cards on this deck, he is inkable. And our other 5 cost and fantastic shift for all of those other Mickeys that we have in the deck, we have 4 Mickey Mouse Playful Sorcerer, a 5 cost inkable 3/4 stat line, questing for 2, shifting for 3, resisting 1 damage from everybody, which is great, helps him stay on the board. And when you play this character, deal damage to choose a character equal to the number of brooms you have in play. Obviously we have no brooms in play because we're not running any brooms in this deck, but Mickey Mouse Playful Sorcerer, still really solid. And moving into our big guys, the guys that we do want to ink ramp for, and the guys that this deck is kind of built around, we have 3 Triton Champion of Atlantis, a 9 cost inkable 7/9 stat line, crazy stat line, questing for 3, shifting for 6, so you can come down pretty early in the game, particularly if you get a little bit of ink ramp going, and opposing characters get -1 strength for each location you have in play. So if you get a Triton shifted down and then the following turn you throw down 3 or 4 locations, all of your opponent's characters just statically have minus that amount of strength. Even new characters that come onto the board, rush characters that come down, it is constantly active. It's not a trigger like Kita. It's going to make those Elzas that exert stuff challenge for nothing. You have 4 locations out, they throw down an Iago with Rush, challenge for 0. So Triton could potentially shut down your opponent's ability to really do anything in the game unless they have a Be Prepared or a Dragonfire specifically. Really anything else isn't going to deal with Triton. I mean, I guess they could have multiple damage spells and something like Steel Song to be able to deal 9. But even if you're exerting him and giving him the opportunity to get challenged into, if you have several locations down, your opponent still might not be able to take out your Triton. So I think this is a card that might have been overlooked in this particular style of deck, or any location heavy deck. Can absolutely stall out the game. But, you know, for all intents and purposes, it's a lot of setup, and if it doesn't work, the card is not doing much for you, other than being a 7/9 that quests for 3, which is still a solid stat line. And the last card in the deck, you guys may have seen this coming. We're also trying to get both these cards out with the Inspirational Warrior for free, so that could happen very early in the game. But we have in the final slot 3 Mickey Mouse Giant Mouse, a 10 cost uninkable 10/10. Another reason we're playing Tipo. If you're not on a play line where you're going to be able to get him down, you get him way too early in the game, he's not going to be good. Potentially you can ink him with Tipo, not always where you want to be. Sometimes you just want to hold him if you have other things to ink, so keep that in mind. You know, play and make the best choices. But he is a 10/10 stat line, one of only 2 cards in the game currently that quests for 5, which is crazy. You can see the little 5 inside of the lore symbol there. He does have Bodyguard, so your opponent is going to have to challenge into him. Great to defend those Tritons and whatnot. And he is like a massive Bagheera, because when this character is banished, deal 5 damage to each opposing character. Everyone on the opponent's side is going to take 5 damage. So even like those Rhinos that have resist 2 as 4/3s that have been a big part of the meta right now are going to die to this. Those Maui Sharks are going to die to this. So there's so many things that this Mickey Mouse just absolutely clears out, and it's when it's banished at all. So unless they're able to do something like Let It Go or Hades, which is entirely possible, those are cards that are popular in the meta, unless they're playing one of those 2 cards, whatever they do is going to banish it. Also Into the Unknown, whatever they do is going to banish it. So if they banish it in any way, even if it's with something like a Dragonfire or a Be Prepared, obviously Be Prepared is going to wipe their board too, but it's going to deal 5 damage to all of their characters. So Mickey Mouse Giant Mouse, fantastic. It's super good if you can get it down in the early game, way before you should be able to. If you can get an Inspirational Warrior down on 2, boost it up and challenge on 3 to throw down a Mickey Mouse, it's game over. Like, your opponent's not coming back from that early in the game. But obviously your opponent's going to see the Inspirational Warrior, understand what you're going for, and probably counteract that in some way. So, you know, play effectively, draw out some of your opponent's removal with some of those other cards you're not as concerned about getting removed, and then start playing your cards that you want to be stuck to the board. Always keep that in mind. That's a great rule of thumb for playing Lorcana in general. But what do you guys think of this deck list? Give me your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think it's just fun to play 23 Mickeys? Do you think you might try this deck list out at your local league or just for fun with your friends? Definitely let me know. I always love to hear when you guys are enjoying the deck list that we put out there. And as always, when you see those toys, video games, and deck lists playing 2 giant hard to play cards off in the distance, remember, it is not a mirage. You guys have a great day.